It's Corrina, and thank you so much for coming to my weekly live chat. I just want to start by asking you to let me know if everything is sounding okay, looking okay. I'm in a different location, as you might be able to observe. I'm actually in Dallas, Texas right now. I'm here filming an event, but I did not want to skip my live chat, so I have set up here in the hotel room and hoping that it works. So thank you so much, all of you who are here in the chat. George Knott Smith, Brian Keith Counterman Jr. Awesome. Thank you so much, George Knott Smith. Anyhow, I don't have my guitar today, so in lieu of the live chat theme song, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who maybe don't know me, my name is Corrina Rachel, and I am a certified holistic health coach. I have made a lot of informational videos on weight loss, nutrition, stress relief, really anything under that big umbrella of wellness. So that is the kind of topic for today. It's a really broad topic, and basically I'm just here to answer your questions. So, I'm seeing lots of new faces here. Yaritza Jimenez, Sherry Gassaway Phillips, thank you. I love you too. Miriam Hafiz, study first. Here we go. I have diabetes. Can you make a video on the best foods for me to eat? Or if you've already done one, share the link. All right, diabetes. This is such a common issue, and I'm going to go ahead and address this for you. I'm going to go ahead and give you an answer. The thing about diabetes is that we have a lot of control over our body's ability to manage our blood sugar, and that's what diabetes comes down to, right? In the case of type 1 diabetes, okay, this is a condition that people are born with. Sometimes it's a dysfunction with the pancreas. Sometimes it's a dysfunction with the insulin receptors that are actually on the outsides of all the cells throughout our body. So in type 1 diabetes, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do to reverse or to prevent it. But in type 2 diabetes, okay, this is what they originally were going to call adult onset diabetes, something you develop over the course of your life. But they ended up realizing that there were a lot of children that were developing what was then called adult onset diabetes, and at that time they changed it to type 2 because it was no longer just adults, right? Okay, so let's talk about diabetes and what types of foods you want to be eating. Now, those of you who know me probably think that I am a broken record when it comes to talking about eating natural foods, but once again, it's a really, really important thing to consider, and I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. The first thing to understand is that those refined carbohydrates, all right, so that's any kind of white flour, pretty much all of your breads, pastries, pasta, are made with this white flour. If you read the ingredient label, it'll say enriched flour, and the whole reason that they have to enrich white flour is that they have removed so many of the nutrients in the processing that the body can't even digest it without them adding some nutrients back into it. So that's why it's called enriched. But the reason that refined flour, refined sugar, white bread are so hazardous to our health is that they are only part of the grain. And what they do to make it white and to make it kind of sweet, right? You know how white bread is kind of sweet, is that they just isolate the starchy part of the grain. And they actually remove pretty much all of the fiber, okay? And they remove all of the vitamins and minerals and other parts that are present in that part of the seed that they remove, or in that part of the grain that they remove. So what you have left is this very starchy, almost sweet flour, but it's completely devoid of nutrients. What this means when it hits your bloodstream when it goes into your body is that it breaks down incredibly quickly. And it gives you that big blood sugar spike that we really want to avoid if we're having diabetes or if we're pre-diabetic, or for anyone who's trying to lose weight. That spike of your blood sugar that you get when you eat processed grains and white flour is just as bad for you as eating refined sugar. Now, obviously they're not exactly the same, but when it comes to your body's ability to control your blood glucose, or the amount of sugar in your blood at any given time, those refined processed carbs are the absolute worst. So stay away from your white bread, stay away from your pastries and pastas and all of that. Instead, opt for what you could call whole grain foods. Things like whole grain bread are definitely a better option, but you really need to read the ingredient list, because there are a lot of wheat breads out there on the market that when you read the ingredients, they still contain that enriched flour. What you want to look for is something that says 100% whole wheat flour. Or stay away from the processed flour altogether and instead opt for things like brown rice, quinoa. These are wonderful sources of carbohydrates, but they also give you that fiber, those minerals, and all of those other nutrients that help your body digest it. Processed foods in general should be avoided for anyone with diabetes, because once they start processing the foods and taking certain things out of it, it really challenges your body's ability to digest the food, and it also is going to give you that blood sugar spike that you really want to avoid. If you put in blood sugar as a search term on this channel, Psychetruth, you will find a lot of videos that I've done. I've done several videos on the glycemic index, blood sugar, sugar cravings, etc., etc., etc. So, a really good question there. My heart goes out to you. I know that diabetes is a very difficult thing to struggle with, but with a little bit of altering in our diet, we really can take control of that. Understand that your body's blood sugar level is a life or death factor. So it's very, very important for your body to be able to regulate that blood sugar level. And it's something that if you start eating right, and if you start just being aware of how bad processed foods are for those blood sugar levels, your body will want to come back into balance and want to come back into that normal function that allows you to eat foods without those negative, harsh effects. Awesome. Thank you so much for your question. I'm moving right along here. Thank you so much to all of you for just like really, really sweet comments, very supportive comments. Yes, I am in Dallas right now filming, and I was filming an event this morning, but I didn't want to skip my live chat, so I've set up my live chat in the hotel. That's why some of you are noticing that I'm in a different place. I'm actually in an entirely different city right now. Okay. Alrighty, Jack Williams. Corrina, do you have any supplement suggestions for joint inflammation due to working out? Alright, so inflammation of the joints. This is something that typically becomes more and more problematic as we get older. One thing about our bodies is that we can lose. Sometimes you hear that saying, use it or lose it. There is a lot of truth in that statement. Now, I do want to just quickly note that I see Surf Starf. I'm eating my words all funny today. I just received a tip from Surf Star. It says, I've lost 45 pounds with your coaching. That is amazing. Aloha from Honolulu. Thank you so much, Surf Star. And I'm so thrilled to hear that you have had so much success from watching our videos. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for your tip. If you have a question, let me know. While I'm on the topic, guys, this is a super chat, which means that you can leave a tip with your question. When you do that, YouTube will notify me, or at least they're supposed to notify me. bump that question up to the top. It's really the only way to guarantee that you can get an answer to your question, because there's just so many comments here. I can't get to all of them. But anyways, thanks in advance for anyone who wants to leave a tip. Again, thank you to Surf Star for your generosity. Really do appreciate it. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to mention that because sometimes it'll alert me and then it'll disappear and then I can't go back and find it. So I wanted to make sure that I thanked that person for tipping. Okay, so joint inflammation. Use it or lose it. This is another another kind of example is in our muscles, right? If we don't keep working our muscles and challenging them and growing them, then they atrophy over time. They start to diminish. So when it comes to the health of our joints, this is another area that over the course of our lives, we lose some of that joint mobility and just kind of cushioning, for lack of a better word, that we have quite a lot of in our youth. So the question from Jack Williams is related to joint inflammation that results from working out. So anytime we're doing strenuous activity or just exerting lots of pressure on our joints, such as from running or lifting weights, etc., we're putting a lot of pressure on our joints, and that can cause inflammation or inflammation without getting... I always go off on a bazillion tangents, but inflammation is an immune system response. So inflammation in itself is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's something that we need in order to survive. But when we have too much inflammation, this can be problematic. Inflammation, if you ever get a scratch or a scrape and you see the red puffiness, that's inflammation in action. Your immune system coming in to heal an area. So when we overwork our joints, for instance, basically what the body is receiving in terms of messages from the nervous system is that, hey, this is an area that's coming under a lot of pressure. Let's send some extra immune system function into that area in an effort to improve it. But again, unfortunately, when there's too much inflammation, it has a negative effect on us. All right, so there are so many wonderful natural remedies for inflammation. It's one of the millions of reasons that I just recommend people to eat a natural diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, stay away from processed foods. Before I get into the things that are good for inflammation, let me just go over a couple things that are terrible for inflammation. And this kind of explains why there are so many inflammatory conditions. If you have a condition ending with itis, that suffix means that it's an inflammatory condition. If you have been prescribed steroids from your doctor to handle some kind of a symptom or problem you're having, that it means it's an inflammatory condition, because steroids, their mode of function is anti-inflammatory. So any problem that ends with itis, any problem that for which you've been prescribed steroids, this answer is relating to you. When we talk about things that are bad for inflammation, that can cause too much, one of the biggest things is sugar, which is one of the most over-consumed parts of our diet. Refined carbohydrates and refined processed foods in general, okay, tend to cause inflammation. And when we talk about things that are very beneficial for fighting inflammation, some of the most common and most well-known supplements would be turmeric. Turmeric is a very mild flavored herb. It's something that I add to things all the time when I'm cooking because it has a very distinct flavor, but it's very mild. It's not an overpowering flavor. However, for people with very painful inflammation, Especially, when you have inflamed joints, it's painful. There's lack of mobility. There's lack of motion. You might even consider taking turmeric capsules, taking it in a pill form. So just a couple of things that are anti-inflammatory. And again, there are so many. Turmeric, fantastic. Coconut oil, garlic, ginger. When you start getting into your various herbs and spices, almost all of them have an anti-inflammatory effect of some kind. So again, just a great reason to eat lots of healthy foods. You can also do things topically that can help with inflammation, such as using natural oils like coconut oil or shea butter, and then mixing them with various essential oils. Again, most of the essential oils, when we talk about, rosemary or peppermint or lemongrass is a very strong anti-inflammatory. So there's just so much that we can do out of our garden, out of natural foods, out of things that are very easily attainable. If you search for anti-inflammatory foods or anti-inflammatory diet, you will find list upon list, website upon website of information on this topic. Again, because inflammation is so overwhelmingly common and it's at the root of so many different conditions. There are many doctors of functional medicine and naturopathic doctors who believe very strongly that inflammation is the root of all disease. So hopefully that answer is helpful. Again, this is definitely something you can find lots of information about on the web. Probably something I will be doing a video about in the coming months because, again, it's just so common and something that we should not have to suffer from. There are simple, easy things that we can do and add into our diet to help resolve that situation. Again, it's something that your body wants to be in balance. Your body wants to be functioning. So as long as we support our body in that healing process, we can resolve problems like inflammation on our own. Saurav Samundo, is yoga and going to the gym something that can be done at the same time, or is it harmful for health or good for health? And I think I saw a question a little earlier. I'm not sure if it was from the same person or not, but I did see somebody else that was asking about, what's better, going to the gym or doing yoga? My personal opinion is that the best kind of exercise and the best time to exercise, that was another question I saw, what time is best, is whatever time works for you and whatever exercise you like to do. The bottom line is that just doing something is so beneficial for you that I see so many people in my health coaching that, they kind of build restrictions for themselves. Like, oh, I need to be doing this kind of exercise, or I need to exercise at this time of day, and then if they can't do that thing or do that time, then they don't do anything at all. And that's what I want you to avoid. Just remember that whatever you do is great, and whatever time you do it is great. Now, to talk specifically on yoga versus gym, I would personally say that a yoga practice is kind of my personal favorite thing to do, because I love knowing that the work that I'm doing, the workout that I'm doing, has really been designed specifically to help bring the body into balance. When you go to a yoga class or do a yoga video, what you're doing is something that a professional yoga instructor has customized to create the greatest amount of benefit for you. So just contrasting that with somebody who, goes to the gym and they do this machine and that machine and treadmill and whatever else, it's just not as structured, right? So obviously there's tons of benefits of going to the gym. Lots of benefits from doing, strength training and using weights. However, there's not as many people who can motivate themselves to get to the gym as people who can motivate themselves to do a yoga video or an at-home workout video or something like that. So I just really encourage you to, do things that you enjoy. It's going to be so much easier to motivate yourself to exercise if the exercise you're doing is something you really, really like. So just keep that in mind and remember that I really think that's the most important thing. Last thing I want to say is that I think that for somebody who is going to the gym and doing weight training, we're actually using weights in addition to your body weight, all right, is very, very beneficial. However, it's very common for people who are doing lots of weightlifting, who are doing lots of time in the gym, that they're not doing enough stretching and mobility work. So Sarov, sorry, I'm probably not saying your name right. My answer would be that it is most healthful to do both of them. And I don't know if you necessarily mean to do them. I don't think you could do them simultaneously. You could do yoga at the gym. But doing yoga videos or going to yoga classes at the same time that you're going to the gym, or maybe alternating days or something like that, is a really good idea. Because then you know that you're getting the strength, muscle building work that you're doing in the gym, but your yoga practice is ensuring that you are staying flexible, you are stretching your muscles, especially for people who are lifting weights. It is very, very important for you to stretch both before and after your workout. So doing a yoga video before the gym and after the gym would be a fantastic idea. Once you start getting a lot of musculature, a lot of strength built up in your muscles, it's even more important to make sure that you are stretching those muscles out. And another benefit that comes from yoga is just the reduction of stress that we get when we're focused on our breathing and doing very intentional movements. There's an immediate calming effect that we get when we're doing yoga. And again, a lot of times what I see in people that are working out all the time, going to the gym all the time, their stress levels are usually very, very high. So balancing your kind of stressful workout with a stress relieving yoga practice is a really fantastic idea. And, just on a side note, there's also a lot of yoga practices that in and of themselves are fantastic workouts. If you're looking for a more intense yoga workout to really get your heart rate up and really build your muscles and strength, look for power yoga classes. Power yoga is just kind of kicked up a notch, so to speak, from your typical vinyasa yoga type classes. Saruv, thank you so much for your question. Scrolling. Okay. Oh, so by the way, I don't know if I said this yet today, but if you can leave question marks in front of your question at the beginning, it makes it so much easier for me to see. Because otherwise I'm just scrolling through and I'm reading everybody's conversations, and that's not as interesting for you as when I'm answering questions. So here we go. I've got a couple question marks here. Yellow flower, thank you for being here and thank you for your question. Yellow Flower says, what is your opinion on oil cleansing? So I am definitely a huge fan of what's called oil pulling. I'm not exactly sure if that is what you are referring to. Oil cleansing method for beautiful skin. Providing you with a natural organic acne and skincare solution. Okay, so are you just asking about using oil as a cleaner on your skin? Alrighty. So when it comes to our skin, this is such a delicate topic, and I think the most important thing to say when it comes to skincare is just that everyone is different, and there's really not a one-size-fits-all for everyone. There's always going to be people for whom one method works great, and then other people for whom that same method doesn't work. So for any type of health or wellness pursuit that you may do, I just encourage you to be really open-minded and remember that every single person is different. Our bodies are completely different, not to mention where we live. What is our ancestry like? What is the weather like? Because the weather will change how your skin reacts to things as well. So just kind of a little disclaimer, so to speak. The oil that I use most often on my skin is coconut oil. I love coconut oil. I find that it is not something that my skin reacts to. It's something that I use pretty much everywhere. I don't use a whole lot of coconut oil on my skin other than as a makeup remover. So the thing about oil and the thing about oil pulling, which is where you swish with coconut oil, is that oils can actually attract dirt. They can actually kind of attract toxins, and in that way help to, cleanse your skin or cleanse your teeth in the case of oil pulling. I think it's very, very important that you're cautious about what oils you use on your skin. And again, maybe you need to play with different oils to see what works best for you. More often than not, the skincare products that we find in the typical grocery store or drugstore are not the best oils for you. Just to get into the chemistry of it a little bit, you've got your plant, your coconut, or your whatever it might be, jojoba, almonds, sweet almond oil. That's another wonderful oil for the skin. So you've got your food, your plant. And in the same way that for our food we eat, we want things that are natural. Things that are as close to their natural state as possible, that have not undergone a lot of chemical processing, that have not been heated or had a whole bunch of other chemicals added to them, etc. So the same kind of philosophy I have about what I put into my body, I carry that over into my philosophy about what I put onto my body. So I would encourage you to look for organic oils as much as you can. Now, I know that organic oils can be expensive, but if you have problematic skin, make that extra investment to get an organic oil. In the case of coconut oil, you'll also see things like unrefined or refined oils. I always opt for unrefined oils as much as I can. And just know that when you're in, your typical grocery store or Walmart or something like that, you'll see a lot of different oils. And unfortunately, many of them have undergone processing. Typically, they process the oils so that they can last longer on your shelf. It's all about extending shelf life. So, you also want to stay away from using cooking oils. I see, like coconut oil, cooking oil stuff all the time. You don't want to put things like that on your skin. I encourage you to be very cautious, play around with different things to see what really works best for you. But avoiding using soaps on your skin is a good idea, especially harsh soaps or antibacterial soaps. You definitely don't want to be using things like that on your skin. Natural is always best. Nature has provided so many powerful healing agents, not to mention all of the little nutrients themselves, minerals, vitamins, etc., that our body needs. So take advantage of all of this wonderful nature, or all of this wonderful things that nature has provided for us. And just as a little side note, this isn't about skincare, but the video that I'll be publishing after my live chat is called How Nature Helps Reduce Anxiety and Stress. And the whole video is talking about basically how, chemically speaking, being out in nature helps to reduce our stress levels and help us sleep better. I also show a Himalayan salt lamp in the video and explain how Himalayan salt lamps work to help cleanse the air and, again, reducing stress, reducing anxiety, really common problems nowadays. But anyways, so that to me totally ties in with talking about just the amazing healing benefits of nature and taking advantage of that as much as we can. Alrighty, Kia, Ehab, Kea, that's a pretty name. I'm probably not saying it right. I apologize. But Kea says, how can I improve my balance? As with anything in life, your balance can be improved with practice. I imagine that you're talking about general balance, right? How sure-footed are we? How well can we stand on one foot? When it comes to balance, this is something that is very important, just really for anyone, especially for athletes. Anyone who's working out, you really need to have strong balance in order to do those various movements safely. And then certainly as we age, typically we start to lose our ability to balance. We start to lose some of the strength. You know, there's just so many different muscles in our feet, and of course going all the way up through our leg and our low back. All of these muscles are important for helping us to balance and helping us to feel sure-footed, right? Or that we're not gonna trip and fall. So again, really the only way to improve your balance is with practice. There are, I think, 2 videos, at least one video, that I did with Dr. Vincent Belanzi. This was a couple years ago, but he actually shows 3 different exercises to help you balance. And basically, you know, the general idea is that you're standing on one foot, and then you can vary between trying to close your eyes, which you'll almost immediately lose your balance. It's kind of funny, we don't realize how much of our balance is proprioceptive, or having to do with us seeing the environment around us, and also our ears are an important part of balance. So there's another exercise that he shows in that video that kind of throws off whatever the fluid in your ears that helps you balance. Because all of our different senses are engaged when we're trying to balance. Another thing that I just think has done so much for my own balance, I've always considered myself kind of a klutz, but ever since I've started doing yoga, I feel like I have better balance. I feel like less of a klutz, honestly. Because another part of balance is focusing our attention. So when you do balancing poses in yoga, like tree pose, which is where you're standing on one leg and then you have your other leg just kind of bent. It's kind of hard to explain, isn't it? But anyways, you're basically standing there on one leg, and then you can either lift the arms and you can even sway the arms. There is a lot of balancing poses in yoga, so just yoga in general would be a great answer to how to improve balance. But what they teach you is that you focus on an unmoving point in front of you, what they call a drishti, And as you focus on this one point, it helps you to improve your balance. I think part of it is that you are increasing just all of your senses. As you focus your mind on one thing, you become less distracted by the things around you. You become more focused internally on your body. And from the perspective of distraction ruining our balance, focusing your attention on something in and of itself is a very, very important part of improving your balance. So even if standing on one foot is just too much, you can't stay there at all for even a second, then maybe just start by standing completely still and just focusing your gaze out on your drishti, out on a point in front of you that's unmoving. That's a very important part. Because just focusing the mind is a really, really great way to benefit and improve your balance. I love doing yoga. All of your warrior poses, side angle pose. I mean, these are all very, very balance intensive types of poses. So having a regular yoga practice is a great way to improve your balance and just strengthen all of those different muscles in your feet. Last thing I want to say about balance are those stand-up paddle boards. So basically it looks like a big surfboard, but then you just stand on it, right? And then people typically paddle. Lots of people do yoga on the paddle board. But when you are standing on that paddle board, you will feel all the muscles in your feet and calf just firing like crazy. And you're like, wow, I didn't even realize I had all those muscles in my feet. When we're walking around in shoes, when we're walking around on concrete and flat surfaces, our balancing muscles in our legs and feet are just not being engaged at all. So stand-up paddleboarding, while I'm on the topic, just walking around barefoot, walking around on grass is a great way to improve your balance just because your feet are able to engage with the surface you're walking on. And then walking on uneven surfaces, like over rocks or hills or whatever, are all great ways to help improve your balance. Looking for question marks here. Do you want to take a moment to remind you guys that this is a super chat? So if you would like to show a little generosity, leave a tip with your question. Guys, we super, super duper appreciate it. I cannot tell you enough. And somebody just said, don't say Corrina, right as I was about to say Anyhow, so we really, really appreciate your tips. And if you do leave a tip with your question, YouTube will actually bump your comment up to the top. At least it's supposed to. And really the only way to guarantee that you get an answer to your question is if you leave a tip. And it allows YouTube to go ahead and bump your question up to the top. Let's see. Denise Barroso, do you recommend green juices to lose weight? And if so, which do you recommend? Green juices. So typically, when we think of juice, we're thinking about apple juice, or orange juice, pineapple juice, also lovely. But when you isolate down a piece of fruit, okay, and turn it into a juice, unfortunately, your fruit juices are not doing you any favors because you're losing all the fiber that was present in that piece of fruit. And you're just kind of concentrating down the sugar into a liquid form that you're going to consume very quickly. So fruit juices typically give you a very quick blood sugar spike. And I typically would tell people to refrain from drinking fruit juices. However, when you put vegetables in your juicer, like spinach or kale, cilantro, parsley, celery, cucumber, all of these wonderful vegetables, you have, again, a concentration of all of the different nutrients, all of the different vitamins, minerals, etc., whatever that vegetable contains. But because you remove the fiber, you're able to consume a whole lot more of those vegetables than you would if you were just eating them whole. Anyone who has a juicer knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? Because you have this huge pile of vegetables, right? And then you put it through your juicer and you get 1 glass of juice. But green juices are really good for you. So just kind of get that you could drink a glass of juice, and in that glass of juice, you could get the nutrients that are present in like 2 pounds of vegetables. So more broccoli than you could probably imagine yourself eating in one sitting, you can kind of drink those nutrients in the form of a green juice. So green juice would be the only kind of juice that I recommend. When it comes to losing weight, I just encourage you to go light on the fruit in your green juices. Now, typically you will need to add some kind of fruit to your green juice just in order for it to be palatable. But the more fruit you add, the more sugar you add, the more you're creating a beverage that is maybe not going to be super helpful for weight loss. From a nutritional perspective, awesome. You know, even things like wheatgrass juice, when you take a little wheatgrass shot, I mean, it's intense. It tastes like dirt. It tastes like you are just slurping up a concentrated, glass of dirt and grass. But in one wheatgrass shot, in one little tiny 1 ounce serving of wheatgrass, it's the presence of like several pounds of vegetables, or the same nutritional value as like several pounds of vegetables. So you just kind of can get, the immense amount of nutrition that you can take in once you juice the vegetable or the fruit or whatever it might be. Now, when it comes to your store-bought juices, I would really encourage you to just be cautious and read your ingredient labels. Read the sugar content. There's a lot of green juices out there on the market now that when I look at the ingredients or look at the sugar content, it's just very disheartening. Probably the healthiest thing to do would be actually juicing your own organic vegetables in your home, because then you know exactly what you're putting into it and exactly how much. When you're buying store-bought juices, there's always a question of how are those vegetables grown? If you are drinking non-organic green juices, then in the same way you're getting high concentrations of nutrients, you're also potentially getting high concentrations of pesticides or whatever other chemical they might have sprayed on that vegetable. So when it comes to a green juice that I recommend, again, making your own at home from organic veggies would be number 1 option. The other thing I would recommend is looking for cold pressed organic juices. There's actually several different brands out there right now that are making cold pressed juices. Essentially what that means is that the processing that's used to extract the juice from the vegetable does not use heat. So whenever we expose a natural food to heat, it starts to degrade some of the nutrients that will be present there. So even a regular juicer, unfortunately, is probably zapping out some of the nutrients from those vegetables. There's cold pressed juicers out there. I don't have one. I would love to have one. But if you can find organic cold pressed juices, that would definitely be my recommendation. And again, as you're looking at different brands and comparing different things, just look at that sugar content. And if you've got a juice that has more than, 20 to 30 grams of sugar at the most, then unfortunately that's probably not going to be the best thing for weight loss. One of the other reasons that green juices are really great for helping you lose weight is that kind of ultra nutrient dense drink is going to really help to give you a lot of those important kind of building blocks that go into metabolizing fat, building muscle. When it comes to helping your body to lose weight, you really need to make sure that you are getting an ample amount of nutrients, both macro and micro. So your macronutrients, protein, fat, and carb. Your micronutrients, minerals, enzymes, vitamins, antioxidants. A lot of times when people go on diets, they end up kind of sabotaging themselves because they're not getting enough nutrients, especially if you are calorie restricting, okay? Trying to, eat a very, very small amount of food, you're not going to get the nutrients your body needs. And if it's not getting the nutritional demands that it's demanding, then it's not going to burn fat. It's not going to let you lose weight because it's going to hold on to dear life for whatever nutrients that you may have in your body. So green juices or any kind of nutrient-dense food is fantastic for weight loss because you're starting to increase your nutrient intake without increasing your caloric intake too significantly. Depending on, again, it all depends on your juice. We have a lot of juice bars in Austin. I'm actually probably really spoiled because we can just go to the Juice Land or the Daily Juice or whatever, and you can even tell them, ooh, I want a this, and this kind of juice. They have a crazy menu with all these amazing juices and smoothies. So I love going to the juice bar. It is something that I do anytime I'm not feeling well or just feeling stressed, feeling exhausted. I'm like, I need to go drink a green juice. Give me a wheatgrass shot. I'll look up exactly how many pounds of vegetables are in a wheatgrass shot. I remember I was just shocked when I read it. It's like, what? Really? It's like 6 pounds of vegetables. The nutritional value. It's crazy. Alrighty, so scrolling down, looking for question marks. Now, I saw someone leave a tip and it did exactly like I thought it was going to do, where it showed up for just a couple seconds and then disappeared. So I'm going to try and find that. Yes, the microphone is closer to the camera than my head. So you can see that if I bring my head as close to the camera as the microphone, suddenly we're a little bit more like normal sized. But yes, the microphone is so much closer to you because I'm on a little table here. I wanted to get right next to the window so I could get as much light on myself as possible. So I'm on this like little kind of tiny table, and unfortunately I usually try to hide the mic. But you win some and you lose some, ain't it true? I don't know anything about online yoga teacher training. I tend to think that working in person, whether it's your yoga practice or you're learning to be an instructor, something about the hands-on nature of like seeing a body or feeling, the pose in your body is a really important part of learning those cues and knowing how to instruct someone to be able to do a pose, because there's so many different little things involved. I'm sure that online yoga teacher training is probably fantastic, but I would definitely encourage you to at least go to some yoga classes as well. Don't just do an online program. Because, every time we do yoga videos, well, not every time, but a lot of times, you know, the yoga teacher will comment, man, it's so much easier to teach when I have the person in front of me and I can see what they're struggling with and I can see their bodies and know exactly what to tell them to help them, you know, get closer to doing the pose correctly. Ground Sky, what things should I eat during the process of quitting smoking to detox my body? Ground Sky, big round of applause for you for quitting smoking. That is a wonderful thing to do for your health. I know it's not an easy thing to do, so big congrats to you for making the decision to quit. And in answer to your question, the first thing that you should understand is that just by quitting smoking, you're helping your body detox, period. You know, anytime we refrain from adding toxins to our body via our diet or smoking or whatever it might be, you're helping your body detox. Your body's detoxing all the time. It's one of the most important functions that your body does. You've got your liver, your kidneys, your gallbladder, your lungs, obviously, in the case of smoking. All of these organs, you know, they are there for the purpose of detoxification. So, you know, you don't have to do anything to make your body detox. It's doing it on its own. The reason that so many of us end up getting sick and so many people benefit from doing a detox is that we just get to a point where we're putting so many toxins into the body all the time that there's just only so much it can do. But by stopping smoking or stopping sodas, reducing sugar intake, these are all things that just in the essence of you removing that toxin from your lifestyle, you're helping your body detox. I would encourage you to stay away from any kind of like intense detoxification type of regimen. Stay away from detox teas and things like that while you're quitting smoking. The most important thing while you're in the process of quitting, and probably for a couple weeks after you quit, is just supporting your body nutritionally in the best way that you can. So rather than being really focused on trying to detox, put your focus on getting as many nutrients into your body as possible. So lots of vegetables, lots of fruits. These things are fantastic for you. To get a little bit more specific, we were talking about green juices a minute ago. The juice of cilantro and parsley are fantastic for helping to assist detox, but they need to be kind of, you don't want to take too much of them, all right? But if you were to go to the juice bar once a week and get a green juice that had some cilantro and parsley in it, those would be great things to help support detoxification. Drinking plenty of water is going to be really important as you're quitting smoking. Again, because your body is already detoxing on its own, you need more water. Water is just the vehicle through which your body can expel the things it needs to get rid of. It's a really integral part of pretty much every chemical process that goes on in the body. So definitely increasing your water intake. I am a huge coconut water fan. Coconut water is fantastic because it contains electrolytes. Every single fruit and vegetable contains electrolytes. You don't need to get it from Powerade or Gatorade, okay? Every fruit and vegetable contains electrolytes, period. So coconut water I love because of those electrolytes and minerals, which are kind of the same thing. So this would definitely be something that I would recommend. And just, you know, really handling your stress levels. A lot of times when people are quitting smoking, they're going to find that stress becomes a surmounting issue. So put a lot of your focus and efforts into handling and managing your stress. Spending lots of time outdoors is fantastic for that, which you'll learn in my video that I'm posting shortly after this live chat. But also, really simple things like getting better sleep, getting more sleep. This is so important for any kind of healing and detox process in your body. Doing things that you enjoy and that make you smile and laugh is a stress reducer. Looking at cute things. Looking at cute things is a natural anxiety and stress reducer. So just really put your gratitude for your body in the forefront of your mind, your gratitude for yourself, for doing something difficult and challenging because it's good for your body. And again, once you have stopped smoking for a while, and I would say even like a couple weeks after quitting smoking, then if you wanted to actually do a detox or a cleanse or take a detox tea or something, you just want to give your body some time to adjust after that pretty big transitional period. All right, so I don't have a bell, I don't have a guitar, I don't have any way to say thank you, more than just saying thank you, to Simbasai Kahari. Simbasai just left a very, very generous tip. Thank you so much. And the comment, there's not a question here, but it says, thank you for keeping these going and spreading positive health life information. I'm going to miss a fair number of these since my work schedule overlap, but thank you again for the videos. Simbasai, it is always great to see you in the chat. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for your super generous tip. I hope you can still come back from time to time. If nothing else, you can always leave your questions in the comments of my Psychetruth videos, and I will do my best to get back to you. I know that there was another person who tipped somewhere in there. YouTube only showed it to me for like a split second and then it disappeared. Let me just scroll through here really quick and see if I can even find it. I always feel bad because sometimes I'll get to the end of the chat and people are like, oh, I left a tip, but you didn't answer my question. All right, so I think I found it. Craig wanted to say Capitano, but it's Catapano. Craig, thank you so much. I don't see a question here with your tip, but I owe you an answer. So if you have a question, please leave it for me. Thank you so much for your generosity, your kindness. Literally, guys, your tips, your generosity, your Patreon support helps us keep our doors open, helps us keep the cameras running. We also have our subscription service, Wellness Plus. There are over, I think over 600, definitely over 500 videos up on Wellness Plus. There's a little bit of overlap with videos that we really, really liked that have been posted on YouTube that we went ahead and put up there. But about probably 80% of the videos are all brand new, things that you have never seen before. Lots of yoga, lots of fitness. I will have a whole lot of nutrition and health videos up there as well. We also have a lot of ASMR videos, guided meditations, things for relaxation, massage tutorials, and just relaxing massage videos to help people sleep and help relieve anxiety. So Wellness Plus, that is our subscription service. It is only $5 a month. It's like less than the cost of a large Starbucks fancy coffee. So we really, really appreciate your support. YouTube is such a hostile environment right now to its content creators. It is quite a shame. So our Patreon supporters, our Wellness Plus subscribers, and all of you who leave tips here in the live chat, guys, we super appreciate it. You help us to help other people by helping to facilitate our video production, and I just cannot thank you so much. Thank you enough for that. Sierra Chantel, She has a lot of little fruit emojis in her question, so it caught my eye. Sierra says, some fruit contains a lot of sugar, question mark. So therefore, is eating too much fruit unhealthy? Sierra, thank you so much for your question. So fruit, goodness gracious, fruit is such a, I feel like a just overly misunderstood. I don't know if that made enough sense, but very, very misunderstood food group. You know, the thing about fruit is that, yes, fruit contains sugar. And yes, some fruits contain more sugar than other fruits. But fruits also contain minerals, antioxidants, vitamins, the amount of nutrients that we get from a piece of fruit, in my opinion, completely outweighs the negative effects of the sugar in the fruit. And there's a couple of things that I just want to really clarify. First of all, is that, you know, I see so many people who are like, oh, fruit contains sugar. That means fruit is unhealthy. I'm gonna not eat fruit. And then perhaps they walk over and they drink a soda, or they eat a cookie, or they eat a piece of white bread. And oh my God, it makes me want to just like eat my fist or something, because you have to understand that the sugar you get from fruit is not anywhere near the same sugar that you see in the ingredient label of your processed foods, your junk foods, your sodas, your high fructose corn syrup, etc. The amount of sugar contained in the piece of fruit is moderated by nature. You know, one of the big reasons that I am such a big proponent of eating natural foods, minimally processed foods, is that there are very few things in nature that are not, how do I want to say this without being attacked by people that are going to say that, you know, obviously there are things in nature that are bad for us. It's not that everything natural is good for you. Obviously there are things that are natural that are toxic to human beings. I'm not telling you to eat those things. But what I'm trying to convey is that the amount of sugar in a piece of fruit is, for lack of a better term, something your body can handle. You know, when you are drinking a soda or eating even a Nutri-Grain bar or something like that, the amount of sugar is there because they want the food to taste good. And unfortunately, most of those processed foods contain far too much sugar that your body can't even handle it. It spikes your blood sugar up, almost immediately causes your body to start storing fat. Whereas with fruit, even your fruits that are relatively high sugar, it is still an amount of sugar that your body can handle. Again, this is part of the reason that I recommend you don't juice your fruits. And I'm not talking about the gum, I'm talking about drinking orange juice and apple juice and things like that. It's because once you juice it, it's no longer in its natural state. And now you have a much higher concentration of sugar. So even though the amount of sugar might be the same, now you have it in a liquid form, and you lose the fiber. So that's another really, really great aspect of fruit, and another part that makes the sugar in fruit less harmful to us. So the presence of fiber in a food that contains sugar slows down your body's, or slows down the time it takes for your body to break that food down. So when you just drink a glass of fruit juice, that sugar is pretty much immediately hitting your bloodstream. Whereas when you eat an apple or an orange or a banana that contains a whole lot of fiber, that fiber slows down the amount of time it takes your body to get to the sugar, to break down the sugar. Not to mention, it takes you longer to eat an apple than it does to drink a juice. Another benefit of eating the fruit is that your digestive enzymes that are secreted in your mouth and your salivary enzymes also help you to break down that sugar in a healthier way. Whereas fruit juice, things like that, you're not going to get as many salivary and digestive enzymes that help you break down that sugar in a healthier way. So fruit is healthy. You should definitely eat fruit. And while it is true that you could eat too much fruit, okay, anything you could do in too much, understand that when it comes to virtually every other kind of sweet, fruit is by far the healthiest option. So, I just encourage you to check with yourself. I hear so many people that are like, oh, fruits contain sugar, so I don't want to eat them. And they're like standing there drinking a soda as they're telling me this. And it's just, I'm like, is there just a complete disconnect here? You have to know that your processed sugar, your high fructose corn syrup, this stuff is so much worse for you. It's not even the same ballpark. It's not even the same sport. Little movie reference. I don't know if y'all will catch that or not, but it's not even the same sport. So, yes, it's true that you could eat too much fruit, but I tend to feel like even if you were eating too much fruit, that would still not be as bad for you as drinking one soda. Fruits are healthy for you. They have so many nutrients, so many antioxidants. And when you think antioxidant, think anti-aging. Not going to go off on antioxidants unless somebody asks me a question in that area. The best way to satisfy a sugar tooth is with a piece of fruit, by far. Those of you who are, wanting to lose weight, and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat fruit because I'm trying to lose weight. I just would ask you, does that mean that you're also not drinking sodas? You're not adding sugar to your coffee. You're not eating white bread. You're not eating pasta. And if you really are cleaning up your diet and you're staying away from processed sugar and sodas and all that stuff, you're probably going to find that your body craves fruit. Because, we pretty much all need some amount of sweetness, So I just think that fruit is the healthiest way to satisfy your sweet tooth, and it has so many other health benefits that outweigh any negative effects that could come from the sugar. Why were you laughing? I just laugh at people's comments here and there. Like somebody just said, Guinness tastes like dirt to me, actually more like burnt bacon and coffee grounds. Oh, but some people probably like burnt bacon and coffee grounds, so. Svetlachuk? I am so sorry. I definitely don't know how to say your screen name. Svetlachuk. I didn't see the question, but I'm seeing a lot of people responding to you, talking about depression. And so this question of yours or the comment of yours that I'm seeing here is, it says, I have a prescription, but I'm scared to take antidepressants. So let me just talk for a minute about depression. And I do want to touch on antidepressants. I say increasingly common problem a lot in the live chat. I'm realizing that I should not say that as much. But this is an increasingly common problem, right? Pause for the cause of hydration. Give me 1 second. Man, this building out here, outside this window, it is so crazy looking. I don't know. I just saw another tip came in from Free One Up. Oh my God, Free One Up. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and order of operations. Let me start with this one, and then I will get back to the depression question, depression and antidepressants, because it's kind of a heavy question. Let me go ahead and answer this one first. Free One Up, thank you so much. I think this might be the most generous tip I have ever received in a live chat up to date. So thank you so much for your generosity. I am just like amazed, honestly. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. Free One Up says, I heard most people don't use all the air in the lungs when they breathe. Do you know any ways or lung exercises that can reverse that? So I think what you're saying, and this is something that I've said before, so you probably heard this from me, is that a lot of us don't use our full lung capacity to take a breath. I'm going to pull myself back a little bit here. Alrighty. I can't quite get I can't get far enough away for you to see my whole belly. So your lung capacity, your lungs, your rib cage, I believe the lung capacity goes, all the way up into your upper chest. What a lot of people don't realize is that your lung capacity also goes down below your belly button. And when you take a full breath, you should actually feel your belly expanding. So a couple, I don't know if I would necessarily say this exercises, but you can turn this into exercises. This is something you can practice. First of all, just kind of noticing your breathing. And the more that you can just try to, randomly notice your breathing when you're not paying attention to it is a really good place to start. Because a lot of times we're just not even aware that we aren't breathing our full lung capacity, or that we're taking labored breaths, or forcing a breath. So one thing that you'll notice, especially when you're stressed out, is that we breathe like this. I'm kind of over-exaggerating it a little bit, but I think you all know what I'm talking about, right? Which is that when you take a breath, it's your upper rib cage expanding, right? But that is a shallow breath. And so what I encourage you to do is, and this is easier when you're laying down, but once you've done it a couple times, you'll be able to do it in your seat too. So just noticing the difference between, right, really lifted, limited lung capacity versus a deep belly breath, which when you do it, your belly will expand like this. I don't know if y'all can see my belly expanding or not, but if you put your hand on your belly, you should feel it. The other thing you'll notice when I do this is that my upper chest isn't really moving. You do get a little bit of a lift, right? But it's not nearly as much as you can even maybe think about, trying to hold your rib cage in place and breathe into your belly. And again, if you're laying on your back, you'll really be able to feel your belly. But just spending some time taking those slow breaths with your hand on your belly and just really feeling what it feels like. And I also find that it's very helpful to, visualize my deep breath. So as I'm breathing, I'm just really thinking about trying to breathe as deeply as I can, to take in as much air as I can. And I think the most important thing about breathing is just noticing our breath. When we're sitting in traffic, when we're stressed out, when we're late for something, these are the times that we start breathing those really shallow breaths. And unfortunately, those are the times when it is most important for us to take a really, really nice, deep, slow breath. Another exercise that you can try is to lengthen the duration of your exhale with an intention to exhale longer than you inhale. Some people will do it to counts. So you could inhale to 4 counts, hold for a brief second, and then exhale to 5 counts or 6 counts or 10 counts. And the idea is just to really get into your brain how it feels, and your body for that matter, how it feels when your exhale is slower and longer than your inhale. This has an immediate calming effect on your central nervous system. So it's a wonderful thing to do for stress and for depression. That was the question that I was right about to answer before I moved to this one. I will get back to that too, by the way. But deep breathing, noticing our breaths, extending your exhales, these are all fantastic things to do. I would also mention that something that can decrease our lung capacity is just in our posture. Especially in women, right? We kind of tend to arch. We have that arch in the back. The posture just gets worse and worse. So you can just, bring your awareness, bring your attention to your posture. And the more that your chest is open, they call opening your chest in yoga, pulling your shoulder blades back toward one another, you open this whole region, and that will also expand your lung capacity. And that's just, I think, should hopefully be an obvious thing that you can, the more that we slouch, we're compressing this whole area. So the more that you can open your chest, open your body up, you really can expand your lung capacity a great deal. Yoga is fantastic for expanding lung capacity. That'd be the last thing that I'd mention on this question. Partly because so many of the postures have to do with how you, I don't know, I feel like I just said this, but opening the chest and keeping your rib cage lifted, keeping those core muscles. So your core, we typically think of the abs, but when you think about your core strength, recognize that that also comes in your low back. And the muscles that really help us to sit up straight and tall are largely in our back. You also have abdominal muscles engaged. They're very, very important. But as you strengthen the muscles in your back, you'll also improve that posture. And just the more upright and open you are, you can literally increase that lung capacity by kind of alarming amounts. I remember I actually have this big machine that you breathe into, and it tells you what your lung capacity is. And we would just kind of experiment with okay, what happens if you sit like this and do it? What happens if you sit like this and do it? And it was kind of jaw-dropping, the changes that you can get just by simply changing your posture. Awesome. So free one up. I really hope that answered your question. Thank you again for your super generous tip. I cannot thank you enough. I'm going to go ahead and return now to this question. Svetlachuk. I'm so sorry that I am surely butchering the pronunciation of your screen name. So I didn't see the specific question, but I know that I'm seeing the little chats going on between you guys about depression. And Psychetruth said, have a prescription for antidepressants, but I'm scared to take them. So this is probably going to be my last question of the chat. Unless somebody else leaves a tip, in which case I will definitely be sure to get to that question. But this is definitely a topic that I want to address because it's devastating. Depression can be such a devastating thing to deal with. It makes every other part of our lives more challenging. So natural solutions to help us uplift our mood and our motivation, I think is just so important. One of the first things that I would mention is nature. There's going to be a video that I'm publishing right after this live chat is done, which actually explains how nature helps to ease our anxiety so much from kind of a chemistry perspective, a scientific perspective. But I think that, all of us can observe that we spend so much more time indoors now than we used to. Every decade that goes by, we're spending more time inside, more time in front of a computer, and less time in the great outdoors. So one of the first recommendations that I would have for any kind of anxiety or depression type of problem would be spending as much time outdoors as you can and really challenging yourself to find new activities or new things that you can do that will get you outside. Even just taking your laptop outside and working in your backyard instead of your living room or your office can have such profound effects on us. There are plant botanicals, or the chemicals within the plants that are released when we breathe them in or when we use essential oils, which is another great tip for depression and anxiety. Those plant botanicals have so many different effects, healing benefits and healing effects. And so there's also just the kind of uplifted mood that comes from the pleasant smells of being outdoors or using essential oils. But then also, chemically speaking, those plant botanicals help to, literally improve our health in a lot of different ways, and especially our mental health. Another important part of getting away from your computer screen, getting away from your cell phones and your TVs and all of those things, is just recognizing that these electronic devices do emit radiation. And when we are spending the bulk of our time surrounded by these electromagnetic frequencies that come out of computers and that come out of our cell phones and all these things have negative effects on us. So another reason to spend more time outdoors is to neutralize the negative effects of all the things around us. Okay. My third recommendation, or my third tip, is helping other people. And I know that sounds kind of strange, because when we are in a place of pain or sadness, usually we're not thinking about going and helping out someone else. But what I have found for myself is that one of the most uplifting things that I can do is reaching out to help another person. After I get done with these live chats, it's literally probably like the biggest high I ever feel. I feel so happy, so amazing that I was able to help people that I've never even met before and would probably never even have the opportunity to meet, because a lot of you are in other countries or other planets even. Okay, not the other planets part. But whether it's volunteering your time somewhere, whether it's, if you have the monetary ability to make a donation to a charity that you feel strongly about, or to, whatever group or person in need that you know, when we give of ourselves and reach out to help others, I think that reminds us how amazing it is to be human. And it's one of those things that, I guess everybody is different, but I know for me that getting outside of my head and reaching out to connect to someone else or do something nice for another person helps me feel more connected with the world around me and just less isolated. So much of depression is just a feeling of isolation, feeling like we're alone or like no one else can understand what we're going through. So the more that we can connect with the world around us, to people or even animals, anything that we can do to get outside of our head and connect with our physical environment is very, very grounding. And in my opinion, or my personal experience anyway, very uplifting to my mood as well. Fourth tip, doing something creative, making something. And it's really important to do whatever it is that you're going to do without judgment. All right? And if you heard me say this tip and you were like, oh, that's great and all, but I'm not creative. Oh, that's great and all, but I can't paint. I can't draw. I'm not musically talented, or whatever it is. Let go of all those judgments. Let go of those, they're preconceptions, right? You have made a decision that you're not creative or you're not artistic based on what? Art class that you took when you were in second grade? Or, maybe you paint and color and draw all the time and you don't think they're good or whatever. The whole idea is that you let go of your judgments about how good it should be or whatever else, and understand that the benefit of doing something creative or artistic or making something, building something, is not about how good it is or how this it is or what anyone else thinks about it. You don't even have to show it to anyone else if you don't want to. But it's a great way for us to practice not judging ourselves, letting go of our self-judgments. And it's just a great way to express ourselves. When we are, feeling those feelings of depression or anxiety, it's a bottled up feeling. It's a feeling like I have so many emotions inside of myself, and it's just like a bee's hive, right? It's like a bee's hive of all these angry bees or hornets or whatever they are, right? And they're just trapped inside. So whatever you can do to get those emotions outside of your body, outside of your mind, again, for me, is just a very, very healing thing. Maybe if you, the caveat here is that it's something that you enjoy, and everyone is going to be different. I know if I can do something that is creative or artistic, or even just being silly and singing at the top of my lungs in my car, just that emotional catharsis that comes can immediately transform my mood. And just take that feeling of things being bottled up and help them be unbottled. Let the genie out of the bottle, so to speak. I find time and time again that we get so caught up in our self-judgments and in our feeling like we're not talented enough or we're not artistic or whatever, all of these things, that it contributes to that bottling up. problem. So letting go of your self-judgments, making something or doing something, again, it's part of interacting with your environment, contributing something to the environment. And again, just the emotional catharsis that comes from that. Fifth tip would be talking to someone about your feelings. And I know that there's that really strong feeling that no one else can understand what I'm going through. No one else can understand what I'm going through. And when we get kind of wrapped up and feeling like, oh, well, why am I going to talk to them? There's no way they could understand what I'm going through. It again puts us in that bottling things up state. So recognize that the benefit of talking to someone about our emotions and our feelings is not that that person is necessarily going to be able to give you some perfect solution or answer. And it's not even that that person is going to be able to say, oh, I know exactly what you mean. It's not about their ability to understand or their ability to give you good advice. It's just about taking those emotions that are trapped inside and letting them come out. And time again, what I see when people start to talk about their emotions and their feelings is that they themselves have some little aha moment or little light bulb that goes off just from them talking about it. And it's not even about something that I said, or maybe I didn't even say anything yet. But just them being able to talk about it and feeling listened to and feeling heard helps them move through that feeling of stuckness that they have felt like they can't get out of. So I just encourage you, whether it's a friend, whether it's a complete stranger that you find by, calling a hotline. There's also a website called betterhelp.com where you can just go and anonymously find someone to talk to. But again, keeping things bottled up, keeping things inside of us is never going to help us move through our emotions to the other side. In closing on this question, I just want to touch on antidepressants, that there are a lot of dangers associated with antidepressants, and we don't typically hear about them because the pharmaceutical companies that sell those medications don't want us to know them. And they have a lot of control over the information that we receive from our media. You can look at things like how many drug ads there are on television and see how much power those companies have, how much power they have over the information that we receive, and how much power they have over our doctors. So do your research. I would encourage you to exhaust every single possible option before you start taking antidepressants. I would definitely recommend that if you are taking antidepressants, or if you do decide to take them, do your research on contraindications that there might be. Contraindication means drugs that should not be taken together, or two things that should not be done together. Because there are so many medications out there, no single doctor can keep track of every single medication that every single patient they have is on. So we, as the consumer, as the patient, have to do our due diligence. And so if you're taking another pharmaceutical, do plenty of research, looking to see if there's any reason that you shouldn't take antidepressants in conjunction with whatever other medication you're on. Last thing is that you should never, ever go off of antidepressants cold turkey or just stopping them. Any kind of pharmaceutical, especially psychotropic drug, the mental health drugs, must be weaned off of very, very slowly, incredibly slowly. Oftentimes when we hear people talk about, oh, I've seen so-and-so when he's not on his medications, what you're seeing is so-and-so in withdrawal from their medications. And that's not the same. So people who go off of antidepressants too quickly or are switching between different drugs and things like that, there are various doctors that, they'll be like, oh, this one's not working, let's just switch you to this other one. No. Slowly weaning off each drug before you start any other drug, and just going really slow. And if you start to feel the withdrawal symptoms, and you can look up for whatever drug it is, look up withdrawal symptoms, Ativan, withdrawal symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And you can see what they are, and you just need to be really, really aware, because some people, need to taper off even more slowly than others. Every person is different. It's going to depend on how long you took them, how old you are, how healthy you are, etc. So just really do your research. Other things for depression and anxiety would be yoga, moving your body. I'm not going to say exercise because exercise feels like a chore, but just moving your body, stretching, walking around the block. A sedentary lifestyle is very unhealthy for us, both physically and mentally. So there's just so many things that you can do. This is a topic that we have a lot of videos on. We have a lot of guided meditations, and we've done actually several videos specifically called like natural remedies for depression and things like that. So there's a lot of information available on our channel. We also have a lot of information up on Wellness Plus. There are a lot of videos that were we have removed from YouTube because YouTube found them advertiser unfriendly. And now those videos will be up and available exclusively on Wellness Plus. So basically, if you are talking about dangerous effects of pharmaceutical drugs, you're advertiser unfriendly, and YouTube hates your videos and hates your channel. So that's why there are some changes on the channel. If you really want to see all of the work that we've done, all the interviews I've done with psychiatrists, with doctors. I did a series of interviews with a former pharmaceutical drug rep that was just mind-blowing. But anyways, those videos will be available only on Wellness Plus because YouTube doesn't like them. But there's so much information out there. I just pray that you can find a solution that works for you and that you are able to, get some relief from that. I know that depression or anxiety, all of those issues are so debilitating, but we don't have to live with them. We don't have to just deal with them. There's so much we can do to take control of our health, control of our lives. So I just wish for you the very best in being able to do that. And again, I just encourage you to look around on the internet. There's so much information. There are so many people sharing what has worked for them or what didn't work for them or what experience they had with this drug or that drug, that, we have the ability to be very informed consumers. We're just in a society that requires us to inform ourselves, be our own advocate, be our own doctor in a way. Anyhow, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. Free One Up says, wow, people get flagged just for anti-med videos. Yes, our channel has taken a huge hit because we have, or used to have, a lot of videos that talked about natural remedies for depression, natural remedies for anxiety, dangers of antidepressants, and stuff like that. And we ticked off the pharmaceutical industry, which is one of YouTube's biggest advertisers. Yes, this is my live chat, so I talk the whole time. Because otherwise, you're just looking at me, not talking. So, somebody said, why are you talking all the time? Anyways, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate y'all coming. Amanda is here. Aw, I hope, is your sad face in response to me closing the chat? I don't want to make you sad. I miss you big time. It's crazy that we can't make the stars align. But thank you for being here. Thank you for moderating. Thank you also to Ilk Aptroot. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but my moderators, awesome. Really, really appreciate y'all. And I just want to thank all of you for being here. So many amazing questions. I hope that you will check out my video that I will be publishing here in just a moment. Very exciting stuff. It's all about how nature reduces anxiety, stress, and it talks about Himalayan salt lamps and how they work. So this video is going to be going up very shortly. I hope you will come and check it out. Leave me your comments, leave me your questions, and I will see you guys all again next week. Again, thank you for being here. Super many thanks to all of you who left such generous tips today. I super appreciate it in this super chat. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop being a goofball now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Come back again next week. Same time, same place, and I will see y'all then. Be healthy, be well, be happy, and I will see you again super soon. Bye.